Hi everybody, Dr. Brooklyn Storme from Cerebellum Consulting. How are you? Today it's Thursday afternoon and getting ready to go home. I'm taking the day off tomorrow. So excited. But what I thought I'd talk about today is anxiety. Hey Jessie, how you going? Thanks very much for joining. So one of the things about anxiety is, as you might remember from previous videos, anxiety is a fear of the future. It's a fear of something that hasn't happened yet. We're thinking, what if this happens? What if it doesn't happen? This should happen. It's a lot of that forward-based thinking. And what happens as a result of that is sometimes we can experience something that's quite fearful. What I wanted to talk to you about today was fight or flight. So I don't know if you've heard of that before, but I'm sure you have. But the way that it works is when we become faced with intense stress or fear, what can happen is we experience a whole bunch of physiological change in response to that. So with fight or flight, our body experiences a biochemical change in the way that we get a release of hormones through our body, and this feels different for everybody. But what it might feel like for you is perhaps butterflies in your tummy. You might feel like blood's moving through your body really quickly and it's going to all your major muscle groups. You might feel a little bit lightheaded or dizzy as a result of some changes to your breathing. And while all of these changes are happening in your body, your mind is making a decision about whether or not, faced with this situation that you're thinking is something to be afraid of, you should stay and fight, or you should move away to another area where it's safe. So because we've got ladies joining me tonight, maybe guys, you've been out at the movies one night, maybe at Fountain Gate or at Southland or Chatty, and you've gone back to your car and it's been dark and there's just been something that's told you, oh, I need to hurry, I need to get back to the car quite quickly. And so what happens is your anxiety kicks in a good way and it makes you quite alert, and you go to your car much more quickly than you normally would. You jump in, you lock the door and you go. Jessie's saying, like sending my son back to school. Yeah, is that making you a little bit anxious? Or yeah, kids get anxiety too when they have to go back to school as well. But yeah, so what's happening is your body's just preparing you to either stay and confront this challenging, fearful situation, or to move on to somewhere else. But there's also something that's not been around for too long, but it's another response called freeze. So now in mental health we're saying, well, there's fight, flight and freeze. So freeze is something that we often see in trauma clients who come through the practice. So especially it tends to happen in women more so than men, just in terms of presentation, according to the data anyway. And what happens is sometimes when, as women, we're faced with a really fearful or scary situation, instead of having all of that stuff happening inside our bodies and us being able to deal with it or move away, what's happening is there's a whole bunch of us that are just kind of getting frozen. We're just getting stuck and we don't move, and it feels like the longest time. It might not be for a very long time. In reality, it might only be a short time. But our experience of this is that we're stuck and that we're frozen. And, you know, one of the clients I saw today said it was almost like being paralyzed with fear. And, you know, she questions, you know, whether or not her behavior in this situation was, you know, normal. She feels like she should have done this or she should have done that, and she's very confused and concerned about why she just kind of got stuck there. So I felt it was really important today to explain that freezing happens, and it might feel like it's happening for a long time, but the chances are it's probably not. It's your body's way of coping with a really terrifying, scary situation, and it's thought to be your body and your mind's way of giving you a little bit of extra time to plan to be able to make the move that's right for you, that's going to, I guess, be the best in terms of keeping you safe in the end. So that's a little bit about fight or flight or freeze. So there's 3 F's. If you experience anxiety sort of day to day, like the example that I gave about going out to the car in the dark after night, hey Tina, how you going? That's really normal anxiety, and that's healthy because it's keeping you safe and it's keeping you alert. Anxiety really becomes more of a clinical condition when you experience a range of symptoms in your body and a range of symptoms in the way that you're thinking and feeling for a number of days, more weeks than not, for a number of months. Hey Lee, thanks very much for joining. And when that anxiety is experienced in that way, what happens is it starts to impact on your ability to function as you normally would socially. So when mates call you up and ask you to go out, you say yes, but then you bail on them in the last minute. You can't go to work. Maybe you're absent a lot now. Maybe you're turning up late to work, or you're knocking off early, or maybe at work you're getting a bit aggressive with people. You have a low tolerance for frustration. You become quite irritable. People also have trouble functioning emotionally, so connecting with others. There's also other somatic complaints, so that just means things like sleep disturbance. So lots of people with a clinically diagnosed anxiety condition have a lot of trouble getting off to sleep because their mind's going off. They can't stop thinking, they can't switch it off. Their body's tired, maybe they've been to the gym or they've had a great day at work, but for some reason they can't sleep. So you know, the other things that can happen somatically are people can perhaps experience undersleeping, like insomnia, or they can experience oversleeping, like hypersomnia. In terms of appetite and diet, what can happen is sometimes people lose their appetite, so they're off their food completely. Other people might experience an appetite increase, so they start to overeat. So all of these things happen and they impact somebody's functioning in a range of areas. And it's only when that happens, and it's been happening for a long time, a few months, that's when we call it anxiety as a diagnosed condition. But yeah, just the day-to-day stuff, getting nervous, talking to your boss in a meeting, that's normal anxiety. And not all anxiety is bad. We need a certain amount of anxiety in order to perform really well. Any elite athlete will tell you that if they go into a competition and they're not worried, or they're not nervous, or they don't have that healthy anxiety before they compete, then they're less likely to do really well. So the opposite happens as well. If they're overly anxious, then they won't perform well. So we know in terms of performance, and we use elite athletes as an example, a moderate amount of stress or anxiety is really healthy because it's going to make you do better. So not all anxiety is bad. If you have any questions about anxiety, of course you can always speak with a psychologist. You can call us. You can talk to your doctor about it. And there's also some really great resources online. Beyond Blue have a fantastic website. So does the Black Dog Institute. Plus there are a number of apps that you can get to track your stress and symptoms and anxiety. And you can take that information to your doctor if you really want to talk to them about how it's affecting you and get some early intervention. Well, if there's no questions, I might just leave it there for today. Just wanted to say hello and just kind of address that and let you guys know that it's fight, flight or freeze, and freeze is okay, and it's just as much of an acceptable, reasonable, normal reaction to a terrifying event as fight or flight is as well. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll see you tomorrow maybe. Hey Mel, thanks for joining. I'm just signing off now. Have a lovely night. Bye.